Success story. A cup of coffee created great business worth $700 million a year. Nobody like lukewarm coffee. This is a popular proverb among coffee drinkers. This is why hundreds of millions of people around the world hold a cup of hot coffee every day. But a cup of hot coffee may burn your fingers. The problem was solved by the invention of insulating coffee cup sleeve. Jay Solenson, 44 years old, could be said to be a very ordinary person. When he graduated from college, his father, who operated a garage, had a health problem. From then on, he had to take the burden of supporting his family. He used to be a car repairman and a real estate agent. His career was poor and unproductive. Once, in fact, his performance had been so bad that he only sold a house for half a year. He very wanted to change the bad situation, but there was nothing he could do about it. However, his life was changed by a trifle that happened in 1991. One day of 1991, he was driving to take his daughter to school after bought a hot cup of coffee in a local coffee shop. During the journey, he had to hold the hot and slippery cup in his hand as there was no cup rack in his car. As a result, a large cup of hot coffee was spilled all over his body while his car merged and the speed suddenly slowed down. Sorensen could not bear it. At that time, he was determined to come up with a way to help people better holding a cup of hot coffee. Jay's original idea was to make a new paper cup with a coat, but the design was somewhat complicated and he didn't make it out with all his brains. At that time, many large multinational corporations were doing the similar research and development. In the process, Jay had 10,000 reasons to give up, but he still wanted to find a solution. Finally, he wondered whether the market would accept him to make a separate paper cup sheath and put it in the center of the cup. Then Jay began to make a paper cup sheath and put it in the middle of the cup. First, he must find a way to combine the cup cover and the cup perfectly. Jay didn't want to fold or glue. He thought it wasn't economical and convenient. Inspiration from shirt collars. The instant flash of genius came from his sudden thought of the shirt collar sheath. It is very easy to insert each other with an oblique incision. He just needed to have a coffee cup instead of a collar of shirt. This is the super simple solution to the first problem. The final key problem is how to solve the problem of heat insulation. He thought about it and finally came up with the idea of putting a cover over the cup. One day, he accidentally observed a thick paper towel with many small bubbles of printing patterns on it, and then he had a bright idea. He used cardboard as a material to press a small bubble line on it and put it outside the cup. These bubbles prevent people's hands from touching paper cups directly, so they don't burn their hands when they're holding a hot cup of coffee. In fact, it had been proved that the printing patterns of bubbles were very effective insulators and a perfect solution to the problem. They could separate most of the surface of the sheath from the hot cup body and lock the air through a small space. While he was worrying about how to solve the problem, it was the perfect solution. Jay was overjoyed. He gave his invention an attractive name, the Java Jacket. Jay realized that his coffee cup insulator was an unprecedented and unique invention. He had to patent it as soon as possible. Jay realized that his coffee cup insulator was an unprecedented and unique invention. He had to patent it as soon as possible. He consulted a lawyer. He showed some drawings and samples to him and asked him how much it would cost. The lawyer told him that it would cost at least $6,000 to $7,000. At the time, Jay was empty-handed. He borrowed the large sum of money from his parents and completed the registration process for the patent of coffee cup insulation. After that, he first made some samples and then he made contact with a paper manufacturer. After entrusting the task of production to the manufacturer, he began to sell them. At the beginning, he thought that if he could produce the perfect product, he would have no worries. In fact, how to open the market of products became a big mountain in front of him. With patents filed, Jay was almost penniless. He met with several local Starbucks managers. At first, Jay was optimistic about the negotiations. He hoped to authorize Starbucks to use his own patents and trademarks exclusively. He even began to look forward to not having to work anymore. However, Starbucks gave him a heavy blow. They want to buy out his patent at once. Jay did not agree to do so. Jack would have to push the new product to win sale. This is precisely what he was not good at. One sunny day, he took a whole pickup truck of samples and drove to the headquarters of Oregon Chain Coffee People, a thriving coffee company with about 15 chain outlets. The president of the company looked at the samples and immediately called his subordinates to assess it together. Everyone liked the samples very much. So the president of the company at once ordered all the whole pickup truck of samples by check. This is Jay's first barrel of gold. A few weeks later, the real turning point took place at the largest coffee fair in the world. The fair was going to be held in Seattle, not far from his home, so he rushed to attend with his own samples. Jay used his first sales revenue to rent a booth at the fair. At that time, in order to save money, Jay rented a stall in the corner. However, a good product is able to speak on its own and to show up in the right place. While Jay and his wife were still at the exhibition, the booth was surrounded by people around. People place orders and pay cash. It took only 30 minutes to sell 100 cases. I feel that I am like a rock star at the time, Sorensen said. When he returned, he had more than 100 contracts in his hand. Later, he advertised in trade magazines and participated in more commodity fairs. At those fairs, he and his wife collected many business cards. When they returned, they sent samples of cup sleeve and introductory materials to these people. Soon many people called and wrote to order their products. After 30 days of production, they began to make profits. Success accelerated from there. He has not only aimed at the market of United States, but also signed patent licensing agreements with companies in Canada and Australia, allowing them to produce his insulating coffee cup sleeve, Java jacket there. This wonderful invention, so spread widely, quickly occupied the market and widely used throughout the world, completely changed the way people serve coffee. Today, Jay's company can sell 2 million cup sleeve every day. Annual sales amounted to $700 million. Who would have thought? Such a great business was created by a cup of hot coffee sprinkled on Jay's body.